Lazy exercises. Starting a workout routine. Whether this is the first time you're starting a workout routine or you've been working out for a while, but you want to try something different, you want to try a different routine. And something that I notice a lot of people don't talk about, but I do expect a lot of people already know they should be doing, is, especially if you want to avoid injuries and whatnot, right? Is I just came up with a concept for the sport, is like calibration sets or calibration workouts. So the idea is, let's say you have a 2-day split workout routine that you want to try out. Well, the first week you want to start off with a fresh new week, of course. So don't try to throw it into the week you already started working out. You're already in the routine. Obviously, you want to wait until the following week to start it out, or at least finish out the routine that you're already doing before you transition over to a new one. But you want to start out whole new week, right? And the idea is to figure out how much weight you're going to need for the routine, especially if it's different sets. Let's say you were doing 5 reps, multiple sets the previous week, right, in your previous routine, but now the new routine you're trying to do is like 15 reps or 20 reps, right, with multiple sets, right? And then the equipment might be different. Like maybe you were doing a lot of free weights in your last routine, but now you're going to do a lot of machine exercises. So it's going to be a little bit different. Especially most machines, the weight increments is in the increments of 10 pounds, not 5 pounds. So if you typically, right, are constantly every week adding 5 pounds to your weight, which is pretty normal, but now you're going on to the machines where the increments is 10 pounds at a time, which means you're going to end up 2 weeks back to back using the same weight until the 3rd week, right, for you to add the extra 10 pounds. And then you're going to be on that same weight for 2 weeks before you bump it up 10 pounds, right? So essentially it's 5 pounds a week you're adding, right? But because the weight is 10 pounds, not 5 pounds, you got to wait an extra week, right? So you got to get an extra 5 pounds stronger to be able to add the extra 10 pounds. So that's why, yes, free weights are a little bit more popular with people, because of that 5 pound increment. It's like, oh yeah, I can go from 30 pounds dumbbells to 35, or 50 to 55, right? Or 90 to 95, right? You can always go to the next one next week. But going 10, 10, 10, 10, that can be difficult. Some people can do it, most people can't. So with that in mind, you gotta figure out, well, how much weight you can lift, and then keep in mind that, okay, these machines are in the increments of 10, not 5, so I gotta keep that in mind. So I have to schedule out that I'm going to be doing this routine 2 weeks before I even increase the weight. So 2 weeks with the same weight before I even increase it. If you're used to increase the weight every week, well, that's important to understand that this routine that you're doing now is different than your previous routines. So it's a matter of adjusting. So you need a transition week, a transition period from your last workout to the new workout. Or if you're brand new to exercising, when you first go to the gym, it's not about, trying to do the most or try to do a specific routine. Like, let's say you have a workout routine. Let's say you're trying to do the Mike Menser 4-day split. Fine. But you gotta start off light, or you gotta start off with low weights, and then little by little tweak it up. Something I do is that I try not to do full sets. So like, let's say I put some weights on the bench, I start lifting and lowering, and it feels extremely light. Like, yeah, I could do probably 10, 20 of these. So it's still a little too light. And let's say I'm trying to go heavy, so of course I add more weights. I don't do the full, I don't go to failure. That's what I'm saying. I don't keep going and do like a whole set, right? Do the max reps, right? Go to failure and then add the weights. No, I just stop. I just like, okay, it was easy for me to do this 3 times. So let me add, 10 pounds. And let's see if I can, if the first couple reps, the first 3, 4, 5 reps, there's a resistance. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for, like, yeah, there's some resistance here. I gotta actually put in work. I have to actually use my muscles. It's not just like motion, right? It's not like I'm moving the weights mostly with my joints. I'm actually moving it with the actual muscles, especially the muscles that I need to move it with, like my chest, right, for bench press. So you're going from there, right? You're going from there and adding weight until you get to a certain number. It's like, all right, cool. This number here is the number I'll be able to work with, or my starting weight for next week. So jot it down, right? Then you move on to the next exercise. You're not going to do multiple sets, right? The amount of sets you do is only to calibrate how much weight you're going to need for to start off with the following week. Then you move on to the next exercise, and so forth and so forth, right? And then once you have everything all written down, you know how much weight you can move, right, without struggling too much, right? Then you know, next week you're gonna start off and just go. Well, people like to do warm-ups. I don't. I just go straight into my working sets and just go straight into slapping on all the weights that I already calculated the following week and just start pushing. And if it turns out that I can lift the weights, let's say the idea was to only bench, right? Only do 15 reps on bench, but I end up doing like 22. It's like, okay, gotta add more weights on the second set, right? So they would do more than expected. In this scenario, since this is the working set week, right? This is the week you're working out. Yeah, go to failure. But in the first week where you're calibrating, like try to figure out how much weight you're going to use for the routine, don't go to failure, right? Save up your energy, because you're just trying to figure out, what does and doesn't work. Also, you might notice certain muscle groups maybe there's an overlap, and it's like, ooh, okay, I noticed that these exercises really put emphasis on my triceps, and my triceps get a lot of extra exercise during the routine, and that's something you'll figure out during the during the calibration week, as opposed to the working set. Because the working set is like, oh man, I worked my triceps so much with this routine that I barely have any strength to continue and fully put in my all into the workout routine, because I didn't know that there was going to be extra emphasis on my tricep, especially if your triceps are weak. Because that's what I'm trying to point at. I'm trying to point at the fact that if there's certain muscles that you have that are pretty weak, certain routines can acerbate it, right? Can make it even worse, right? If you got weak triceps, having a workout routine that puts a lot of extra work on the triceps, it's not going to be good for you. It's not, and then that can cause a problem of like, oh, I don't want to do this routine anymore because it hurts my triceps and I could barely finish the routine. You don't want to be in that scenario, right? More reason why you need to figure out if it does put a lot of work on your triceps or any muscle group, and then you're like, all right, well, I definitely need to either use a lot lighter weights or do a lot less sets. Because a lot of people like to do a lot of sets. Do a lot less sets for that muscle group, because it's already getting a lot of work, it gets used a lot through the routine. You don't want to overtrain it, which is why you're like really in pain and could barely finish out the routine, because there's so the muscle's been worked out beyond its limits, right? It already went to failure, and you're still trying to do the routine, right? So you want to reduce the sets a little bit, just to make sure that your triceps can catch up, and then it should get stronger throughout the weeks, and eventually you might be able to do the routine as the way it was originally written, right? Another thing is just once you figure out that you're weak on a certain muscle group, you might want to put a little more emphasis on it to strengthen it up some more. So you'll find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. That's the important thing. Most people don't talk about it a lot, especially online, about the strengths and weaknesses of their body, of they're just focusing on sets and reps and weights, PRs and stuff like that. But not many people talk about the fact is like, sometimes some muscle groups are weak, which is why you're not hitting the new PR, right? Or mainly that, right? You're not hitting a new PR, and largely because certain muscles are underdeveloped, and those muscles are needed for stability or to help assist with the lift. Especially if it's like a clean and jerk or something, you might have some weak lats or something, whatever. You might have some weak muscles somewhere that makes it hard for you to, fully get the full extent of your muscles or your body's capability to be able to do a specific workout. So you definitely want to make sure you find out what your weak parts are, what your weak muscles are, and try to put a little more emphasis on, right? Try to add maybe an extra set, or add more weight specifically for that body part, and do less reps than all the other body parts. So if you're doing 20 for every other body part, 20 reps, do like 15 or maybe even 10 reps, right, for the weak body part. So just add more weight for that body part, so that way it gets stronger, ideally faster, right, so it can catch up to the rest of your body, and then you can have that uniformity, you can have that cohesion of your muscles, being almost at equal levels, so that we can get the full benefit of whatever you're trying to do. Especially if you're trying to do squats and stuff like that, you don't want your hamstrings or your glutes to be weak, right? You definitely don't want your quads to be weak when you're trying to do squats, right? You definitely don't want your calves and ankles, right? You definitely don't want your joints, like your knee joints and waist, hips, I should say. You don't want them to be weak. You want to make sure you know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Strength and weakness is not just muscle based; it's also your skeletal muscle, even your nervous system, right? You might have a weak nerves in one of your legs or one of your arms or something, or in your lower back or upper back, whatever. Like you don't know until you find out, right? So you gotta know your body better than you think, right? And then go from there.